There is something I want us to understand very clearly. Awareness alone does not change a life. Healing alone does not build a future, and nor does having talent alone position you in life. Many people today are self-aware, spiritually informed, and emotionally intelligent, yet they're stuck. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack faith, but because they're developing themselves in isolation. And isolation has not produced a legacy. In this part, we're going to talk about ecosystems and how lives are actually elevated. Here, we'll also talk about how Joseph moved from prison to palace and why who surrounds you, positions you, and witnesses you matters as much as what you know. There is a popular lie in our generation: if I work hard enough on myself, or they say, if I work on myself long enough, my life will change. Self-work is important, but self-work without exposure is incomplete. You can be healed and still unseen. You can be skilled and still not trusted by people. You can be a very intelligent person and still not be positioned in society. And this is happening because our world does not reward potential. It rewards perceived intelligence, or it rewards recognized value. And recognition does not happen in isolation. And this is why many people feel frustrated, because they're growing inwardly, but their environment is not changing outwardly. Growth needs a context for it to land. Let us talk about Joseph again. But this time around, let's not talk about the dream, the court, the throne. Let's talk about prison, okay? Because most people think prison was a waiting room for Joseph, but prison was actually his repositioning and redefinition season. The Bible says that Joseph dreamed in there, or Joseph interpreted dreams in prison, but it never says he did it once. So this means that Joseph practiced, Joseph observed people, Joseph refined accuracy, and he also built credibility quietly. And something else happened. Joseph built social intelligence. He learned how power works. He learned how people communicate under pressure. He also learned how influence moves through recommendation. Because notice this, Pharaoh did not find Joseph through prayer. He found Joseph through reputation. And that tells us that someone was already saying the name of Joseph. This means that Joseph had already been known before he was needed. An ecosystem is not just friends, it's not just networking, it's not cloud. An ecosystem is where your skills become visible, where your value is tested, where your character is witnessed by people, and also others can vouch for you. Ecosystems creates trust transfer. This is how societies have always worked. People were known by their consistency, their credibility, their contribution. Reputation outlives talent. I'm hot. There are 4 social layers that every person must develop, and you hear me return to these often. The first one we've got is social intelligence. This is understanding how your environment works. You need to understand the timing, the hierarchy, and also the unspoken rules, because though they appear to be none, there are a lot of unspoken rules. And Joseph mastered this in prison. Social influence is the ability to affect an outcome without force. It means that people listen to you, people trust your judgment. And this comes from repeated accuracy, meaning that you now have authority. You have a track record of things that you've done before that is successful. And this can be either negative or positive, but for this video, it is positive. When I say social affluence, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking access. Who will take your call if you called out of the blue? Who? Who will open doors for you? What rooms will people open up at the mention of your name? Because tell you the truth, right? Affluence is first relational before it is financial. And finally, social relevance is simply being necessary. Not famous, needed. Joseph became relevant because he solved a problem that no one else could. There is another mistake people make. They treat their gift so sacred. They treat that gift as something so sacred that it needs to be hidden. But gifts are tools, not ornaments. Joseph did not say, I am gifted by God, so I will wait for God to reveal me. I will wait for God to reveal me. No, he worked, he served, he interpreted, he managed. He did the work. We also have King Solomon. King Solomon did not just have wisdom, he created systems that could attract kings. Another example is Daniel in the Bible as well. Daniel did not just pray day and night. Daniel functioned excellently in government. So what does that tell us? That skill not applied becomes frustration. Apply it. So here's the real question you should be asking. Where is my gift being exercised? Who is witnessing my competence? What environment is stretching my capacity? And if your answer is no one or nowhere, then let me tell you this. The next level of your life will not open. And I'm sorry to be the one to say it to you. I'm sorry that I had to say it like that. And this is not because you're unworthy. This is because ecosystems require participation. Position is not claimed, it is conferred. Now, I want to be very honest with you. Many people are not failing because they lack motivation. They are failing because they don't understand how life is structured. We were taught and we learned effort. We learned morals. Some of us learned faith, but almost none of us learned positioning. So we grew up thinking, if I'm good enough, life will notice. If I heal enough, my life will change. If I work hard enough, doors will open up for me. Sometimes they do, but most times they don't, and people blame themselves. And I'm going to be breaking down the E4 social layers, and they are the 4 social layers that I talked about early in the video. There's 4 invisible structures that shapes outcomes, access, and influence. And what I'm doing right now is not just theory, this is how societies have always functioned. Desire is internal, life is external. Between desire and outcome sits structure. You can desire wealth but lack access. You can desire impact but lack credibility. You can also desire freedom but lack positioning. Okay, and there's the reason why 2 people can work equally hard on something and end up being completely different places. It is not always about effort, it's about which layers you're operating in. The E4 layers are not personality traits, they are developed capacities. They are the difference between being talented versus being trusted. The difference also between being intelligent versus being influential. Another one is the difference between being visible and being relevant. Let's go through them one by one. Social intelligence is reading the environment, understanding power dynamics, knowing timing. Also, it is recognizing incentives and observing before you act. In Potiphar's house, Joseph learned structure. In prison, he learned people. And by the time he met Pharaoh, he understood systems. And that's the reason why he did not panic in the throne room. You can acquire social intelligence by first observing before talking. You need to spend time observing things and not just talking. You need to study how decisions are made. You need to notice who is listened to and why. Also, you should ask what is rewarded here and what is punished. Most people suffer because they speak before they understand. Social influence is being trusted over time. Influence is not popularity. Influence is credibility. It is when people say, I trust your judgment. Do what they say. Bring them into the room right now. Influence is built through consistency, accuracy, restraint, reliability. Joseph didn't influence Pharaoh because of dreams alone. He influenced Pharaoh because his interpretation came with strategy. He didn't just say what would happen. He said what to do. So how do I acquire social influence? You do that by solving real problems repeatedly. You do not exaggerate your ability. You under-promise and over-deliver. You let results speak before you do. Influence grows quietly, then suddenly. Who can reach decision makers? Who gets information early? Who is invited into conversations? Affluence is relational. Joseph became socially affluent the moment his name circulated. His skill was vouched for. His reputation traveled faster than he did. By the time he met Pharaoh, Joseph was already known. And you do this by being useful in the rooms you enter. Protect your reputation fiercely. Build relationships before you need them. Do not burn bridges emotionally. Access is fragile. Guard it. Be necessary, not just present. Relevance is the highest layer. It is when removing you creates a gap and people can feel your absence. Joseph became relevant because Egypt needed him to survive. Solomon became relevant because nations sought him for wisdom. And Daniel became relevant because empires depended on his counsel. Relevance is not loud. You need to specialize deeply. Solve meaningful problems. Position your skill where demand exists. And stop trying to impress. Aim to be useful. Most people stop at E1 or E2. They become aware. They become intelligent. They even become skilled. But they never enter the right environment. They never put themselves in rooms where others witness their value. They never stay long enough to build trust. And so their lives feel heavy. And this is happening not because they're failing. It's happening because they are unpositioned. Let me ground this in real life for you, because sometimes philosophy can feel distant until you see it lived. Like I said earlier, many people fail not because they lack or not because they're lazy, but because they have been taught a very dangerous shortcut culture. They were told, find a gap in the market, build fast, monetize immediately. If it is not working, pivot. But when you study people whose work lasts, you notice there's a pattern there and it's different. Those people didn't find a gap quickly. They lived inside a system long enough to understand it. Let us start with Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury didn't just wake up one day and decided that she wants to start a beauty brand. No, she didn't. She spent years as a makeup artist, years working on different faces, different skin tone, different lighting, different conditions. And over time, she noticed something very specific. Colors didn't behave the same way on everyone. That discovery alone didn't happen in a week. It didn't happen in a 3 days research print. It happened through repetition and proximity. And once the discovery was clear, the question changed. It was no longer what gap exists in the market. It became, how do I fill this gap properly? Also, what quality is required? Another one is, how can this travel fast? Or how far can this go? How far can this solution go? This is why she started with one strong product. And as demand grew, the ecosystem grew with it. Other brands followed because the discovery was true. When a discovery is aligned with the person or with the vessel who found it, it does not expire. Now compare that to what we see today. People jump from trend to trend, from idea to idea, burning out, especially women in business, because they are trying to force speed in a place where depth is required. Here's a truth most people avoid. Pain often destroys people before they reach relevance. Unprocessed pain makes you impulsive. It makes you isolate yourself, and it sabotages consistency, which is why the next part matters deeply, because without inner order, no outer ecosystem can hold you. Joseph survived elevation because he mastered both. This channel is not for everyone. It is for people who are willing to study themselves, understand systems, people that are responsible enough to take responsibility for positioning, and also ready to grow their lives without applause. So if that is you, stay. In the next video, we'll talk about pain, chaos, and the inner war that decides whether these layers work for you or against you. But until then, I hope to see you.